What's your last name?
Chris Watts, WATTS.
Wow. What's going on right now around your house?
Right now, it's you got K9 units, the sheriff's department. Everybody's like they're doing their best right now to figure out like if they can get a scent, see where they went, if they went on. And right now, it's just like they've been on point. They're going through the house trying to get a scent, and hopefully they can pick something up to where it's going to lead to something.
What happened? Your wife came home. Tell me
She came home from the airport 2 a.m. and I left around 5:15. She was still here, and like about 12:10 in that afternoon, her friend Nicole showed up at the door. Like I had texted Shanann a few times that day, called her, say but she never got back to me. But she wasn't getting back to any of her people as well, and that's what really concerned a lot of people. Is like if she's not getting back to her, like if she doesn't get back to me, that's fine. Like she gets busy during the day. But she didn't get back to her people, which was very concerning. And Nicole called me when she was at the door, and that's when I came home. And then walked in the house, and nothing was vanished. Nothing was here. I mean, she wasn't here. The kids weren't here. Nope, nobody was here.
What's your wife's name?
Shanann, SHANANN.
What's your kids' name?
Bella and Celeste.
How do you spell Celeste?
CELESTE.
How old are your daughters?
4. Bella's 4. Celeste is 3.
And so, how many times did you try calling her?
I called her 3 times, texted her about 3 times just to say, what's going on. Like because after I called her and texted her once, it's like maybe she was just busy. Like she had just gotten back. Like everybody's probably calling her from her trip. She just got back from Arizona, and I figured she was just busy. But when her friend showed up, that's what it was like. It registered like, all right, this isn't right.
Do you think she just took off? Do you think?
I mean, right now I don't even want to just like throw anything out there. Like I hope that she's somewhere safe right now and with the kids. But I mean, could she have just taken off? I don't know. But if somebody has her and they're not safe, like I want them back now. Like that's what's in my head. Like if they're safe right now, they're gonna come back. But if they're not safe right now, that's the not knowing part. Like if they're not safe, last night I had every light in the house on. I was hoping that I would just ran over by the kids running in the door and just like barrel rushing me, but it didn't happen. And it was just a traumatic night trying to be here.
I'm gonna ask some kind of tough questions. Your relationship with your kids.
Yeah, my kids are my life. I mean, those smiles light up my life. And just like, I mean, last night, like during when they usually eat dinner, it was just like I missed them. Like, I mean, I missed telling them, hey, you got to eat that or you're not going to get your dessert, and just like you're not going to get your snack after. I miss that. Like I miss them, cuddle up on their couches. They have like a Minnie Mouse couch and a Sophia couch that they cuddle up on and watch, Bubble Guppies or something. And it was just like, I was, it was tearing me apart last night, and I needed that. I needed that last night.
Death would have been easier. That was the line that caught everyone's attention. Words attributed to Chris Watts as he described what life feels like now, years into his prison sentence. Not the crime itself, not the trial, but the reality that comes after everything is over. Inside prison, the days don't move the way people think they do. There's no fast forward, no escape, no distraction big enough to silence what's already been done. Time stretches, hours feel longer, silence feels heavier. Chris Watts wakes up the same way every day. A fixed routine, controlled movement, meals at set times, limited interaction, nothing changes, and that's exactly what makes it harder. Because routine doesn't erase memory. According to reports from prison correspondents and interviews, he has described his mental state as something he has to manage constantly. Not just guilt, but the awareness that his name is permanently tied to one of the most disturbing family crimes in recent history. There's no rebuilding, no returning to a normal life, just repetition. And that's where the weight really shows. Other inmates know who he is. Cases like his don't stay hidden. That alone changes how someone lives inside, how they move, who they speak to, what risks they avoid. It's not just about serving time, it's about surviving it. But what stands out most isn't the environment. It's the statement itself. Death would have been easier. That doesn't sound like someone talking about a moment. It sounds like someone describing an ongoing reality. A daily one. And it raises a bigger question. What does life actually look like after a crime that can't be undone?
A maximum sentence would be appropriate, and anything less than the maximum sentence would depreciate the seriousness of this offense. So the court is going to sentence Mr. Watts as follows. With regard to count number 1, murder in the first degree as it relates to Shanann Watts, the court is going to sentence you, sir, to a life sentence in the Colorado Department of Corrections, followed with no possibility of parole. And that is going to run consecutively to all but counts 3 and 4. With regard to count 2, as it relates to murder in the first degree with Bella, the court is going to sentence you to life in the Colorado Department of Corrections, possibility of parole. With regard to count number 3, the court is going to sentence you as it relates to Celeste to life in the Colorado Department of Corrections with no possibility of parole.
If you're following this story, like, share, and subscribe, and drop where you're watching from. Life inside didn't just become routine for Chris Watts. It became controlled in a way that leaves very little room to escape your own thoughts. In prison, there are rules for everything. When to wake up, when to eat, when to move, even when to speak. But what no system can control is what goes on in someone's mind once the lights go out and everything goes quiet. That's where the struggle really begins. According to accounts from his time behind bars, Watts has had to adapt quickly, not just to the structure, but to the reality of how other inmates see him. Cases like his carry a different kind of weight. There's recognition, judgment, and a level of tension that doesn't just fade over time. Because in prison, reputation matters. And his is one that follows him everywhere. He keeps a low profile, limited interactions, careful conversations. It's not about making connections, it's about avoiding problems. One wrong move, one wrong word can shift everything. But even with that caution, there's no escaping what brought him there. The isolation isn't always physical, it's mental. Reports suggest he spends much of his time reading, writing letters, and reflecting. But reflection isn't relief, it's repetition, going over the same thoughts again and again without any way to change the outcome. That's where the phrase starts to make more sense. Death would have been easier. Because what he's describing isn't a single moment of regret, it's something that resets every day, a cycle that doesn't break. And as the days turn into years, one thing becomes clear. This isn't just time being served. It's time being lived over and over again. If you're following this story, like, share, and subscribe, and drop where you're watching from. Death would have been easier. That statement, attributed to Chris Watts, reflects not a single moment, but an ongoing reality of life inside prison after a crime that can't be undone. From the moment he entered the prison system, everything changed. His world became structured, controlled, and repetitive. Every day follows the same pattern: wake up, meals, limited movement, and long periods of isolation. But routine doesn't bring peace. It creates space for memory. And memory doesn't fade. Watts' case is widely known, even behind bars. That recognition shapes how he lives daily, keeping a low profile, avoiding conflict, and navigating an environment where reputation can determine survival. There are no second chances in a place like that, especially for someone tied to a crime of this magnitude. But the real struggle isn't just external. It's internal. Reports suggest he spends much of his time reflecting, reading, writing letters, and thinking about the past. But reflection becomes a cycle. The same thoughts, the same reality, repeating day after day with no way to change the outcome. That's where the weight of his words becomes clear. Death would have been easier. Because what he's describing isn't an escape. It's the absence of a life where every day is a reminder of what's been done. There's no moving forward in the traditional sense, only time passing, while the past stays exactly where it is. And that's what makes this different. This isn't just a sentence measured in years. It's a life defined by permanence. If you followed this story, like, share, and subscribe, and drop where you're watching from.